a lot more that can be cut, where we all have a shared responsibility in making the state of California golden again. And again, I urge our citizens, me speaking alone, to vote no on Prop 30.
Okay, Supervisor Ashley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the state government is akin to feeding a panther. It's just insatiable appetite for tax demand. And normally our vote on something like this, all of us, it's a private matter. We go to vote, and how we vote, that's up to us, whether a candidate or a proposition. But as public officials, voters seek our opinion. And they'll be giving our opinion at many forums and private conversations around the county. So it's not like, you know, you can't run or hide. You got to come out and say where you stand on these issues. So I do not hesitate to voice my opinion today. I'm against Proposition 32 and 38. And I think reform is just underway. And it's going to be stifled if this passes. For example, they trade off. They say, well, this will bring school funding up to the Prop 51 standards. Well, they have the obligation to do that anyway. They'll take that money and it's okay, we'll fund schools, and they move that over. That money they were supposed to give the schools over to the general fund and keep on going the way they are. And then they run out of that money, they're going to come back and throttle the schools again. How long it lasts, they might get funding for a year or two, and then they'll be out of money, they'll want more taxes. So I think I'm going to vote no on 30 and 38. And I'll support your motion if you make one.
Let's see what the votes are. I'm going to move that the county not support Prop 30 and support the citizens of this county that are struggling. We don't need higher taxes, we need state reforms. And I think this is going to send a message that we're going to hold them accountable up in Sacramento for doing the right things. And it shouldn't be the citizens that tax themselves and pays for the realignment. This is a state shifting their responsibility to us. They should be paying for the cost of incarceration and overseeing the thousands of prisoners that we have in our local jails and are coming out of our Superior Court. It shouldn't be at the expense of our taxpayers. And by supporting Prop 30, we're saying the taxpayers now should pay for this unfunded mandate, or low-funded mandate, if you will, on the county of Riverside. So that's my motion.
Supervisor, did you have a motion and a second? Did you have further comments?
Yeah, I'll just, for the record, state that I will abstain from this one because it is an issue that I believe the voters are going to have to speak up on. And while I absolutely condemn the extended track record of overspending at the state level and trying to balance it with initiatives like this, the constitutional guarantees contained in this initiative are extremely important. And so it's one that people have to look at, and if you don't vote on it, that will help to kill it. We got to fight to continue the fight for the guarantees that we get the funding to carry the load that's been forced upon us.
Okay, well, I'm going to give my comments then. Again, the governor, pre-Prop 30, post AB 109, made it very clear that he would protect realignment. And so, obviously, his only way that he feels now that he's going to protect realignment is through an initiative, and that's in the name of Prop 30. The only way he could get to that initiative and get support from that initiative, because I was there and I watched it, was to get the support of education to help fund this initiative. So I'm torn as well. I don't think education has done the job that they should do. I don't think the state legislature has done the job that they should do, and I agree. AB 109 was thrown on us. It was actually negotiated very well in the beginning, but at the very end, when at the midnight hour, when the state legislature ended up passing AB 109, they eliminated items within the law that basically put further burden on the counties, and certainly this county, the Riverside. So I'm torn as well. I want to see AB 109 or realignment funded, but I don't think it should be funded through an initiative that is going to throw all these other areas in there for funding, when in fact the state legislature has not done its job to make their cuts where necessary. So I will support the motion. I'm convinced that with CSAC's leadership, along with some cooperation with the governor and hopefully the legislature, they will find a way to protect AB 109. Otherwise, they're going to end up having to take it back and completely reverse a process that they put into place a year ago. So with that,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
motion, I don't remember what your motion was.
The motion was for the county to take an opposed position to Prop 30, and I just want to remind you that the California School Boards Association does not support Prop 30. So the school boards associations don't even have the confidence they're going to see any money from this.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to oppose Prop 30. That's correct, Supervisor Stone? All right, please vote. Motion passes 3-2. All right, taking us down to 3.53.
Thank you. Again, Mr. Chair, I know this is an uncomfortable subject probably for you, because I think you were such a fantastic leader for CSAC as their president, and I supported you wholeheartedly in working yourself up to a position of leadership. I put this on the agenda because I think it's appropriate that we talk about our membership. I'm not here to dismantle the California Association of Counties, but I do want to point out a few things. And I don't have a dog in the fight with respect to the 4 cities that are suffering, other than I'm on the Board of Supervisors. I formerly had the Menifee area as a part of my district, helped them become a city. And I'm very concerned about the city's livelihoods, their ability to stay cities, and the disastrous consequences of disincorporation, which is not a remote possibility, but a very strong possibility if there's not a quick, speedy resolution to this horrific governmental debacle. And unfortunately, CSAC had wrong information. And CSAC professes that they were very supportive of AB 1098, which was a bipartisan solution to restoring the vehicle license fees that were promised to the 4 new cities. The 4 newest cities in the state are in this county of Riverside: Eastville, Aruba Valley, Menifee, and the city of Boulevard. And as a result of the governor's veto, those cities are still in economic limbo, some more significantly than others. One thing that the cities did was they hired a very good lobbyist, Gonsalves and Associates, that I think did a fantastic job of getting a bipartisan solution in the state of California, which is not an easy task to do. And they made it very clear that the VLF funds that would be utilized to make these cities whole, keeping in stride with the promises that were made when they did their economic studies, that they would be given for 5 years a disproportionate higher share of VLF to get them on their feet so that they could, in fact, move on as cities. And they found a fund called the VLF Administrative Fund, which is not a general fund. And it would not have jeopardized any funding for any other cities, would not have impacted realignment. And yet, even though CSAC supported the bipartisan effort to get the bills approved, they wrote a letter in opposition to the final product to the governor, And if you look at the reasons why the governor claims that he vetoed those bills, you could take the verbiage right out of the letter from CSAC. And I think that's rather unfortunate. I should say my chief of staff got an email yesterday from Steve Keel, the CSAC interim executive director, that on such short notice couldn't be here today, and asked that we continue this, which I don't have any problem continuing it if the board wishes to continue it. But even in his email, he and CSAC still don't get it. He says the VLF funding was in 2011 reassigned a payment for public safety and health and welfare programs mandated on all California counties, and future unrestricted access to these funds threaten our ability to adequately provide for those services. Once again, I don't know how many times we have to tell them through lobbyists. I know that Supervisor Benoit went up to Sacramento. God bless him. God bless Supervisor Tavaglione for going up there and advocating and communicating. But I guess there are some governmental agencies that just refuse to hear the truth. It was the VLF administrative fund. It does not affect the general fund. It would have been the money to effectuate the success of the four cities. So even still today, CSAC still doesn't understand the process and the horrific damage that they've caused our cities and ultimately, potentially our county, because if these cities are unable to make it, they actually have to take a public vote to disincorporate. We have to go through LAFCO to bring them back into the county of Riverside. We're talking about probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees and efforts that are wasteful. And if you read CSAC's mission statements, it says to strengthen communication and consensus among counties. How much notice did we have? Did they consult with the county before they wrote the letter to veto this most important bill to our well-being as a county that caused financial devastation on our county? This is part of the mission statement. CSAC encourages and develops partnerships with other local governments. Well, I'd like them to defend the partnership that they created with the four cities of Aruba Valley, Eastvale, Wildomar, and Menifee. To me, it was contrary to encouraging and develop partnerships, and facilitates intergovernmental problem solving. They didn't solve a problem for the county of Riverside. They created a big problem. And by the way, we pay $100,000 a year in taxpayer money, that's general fund money, to belong to the California Association of Counties. And we're not alone in our discontentment with CSAC. We've had discussions with Supervisor Rutherford's office in San Bernardino County. And the city of Fontana has some of the same issues that we have. They had promises that were not kept by the state of California that poses a problem for our sister city, our sister county, San Bernardino. So I think we need, as a county, to really define how we want to have a future relationship with the CSAC. They say that they're going to try to facilitate new legislation in 2013, which we don't need. We have the right legislation to begin with. We have to, again, educate them on that. But I don't know if there's enough time in the 2013 legislative session to keep at least 2 of those cities, maybe 3 of those cities afloat, because they only have a finite amount of money left to continue to provide police and fire services. And when they don't have any money left, who do you think is going to be left holding the bag? I don't believe for 1 minute that this board would not continue public safety services in those contract cities, if you will, in the event that they run out of money because the state didn't fulfill their promises. I believe this board would step up to the plate at considerable expense, dipping into our reserves and putting us into further fiscal uncertainty. So this is the reason why I placed this on the agenda, also to give the affected cities the opportunity to voice their frustrations and concerns. I see some of the city members here today. I'm glad that they're here. I did receive a letter from Mayor Ben Benoit, City of Wildemar, that is concerned about what CSAC did. He believes that it would be inappropriate for us to discontinue our membership with CSAC. He's saying this as an individual. I asked if this was the wishes of the City of Wildemar collectively, and I'm being told this is a letter from just the mayor only, so it reflects his opinion. So he supports the county staying with CSAC, even though it was CSAC that may have put the final nail in the coffin of the City of Wildemar. So with that, Mr. Chair, I welcome anybody's comments.
All right. Supervisor Benoit, would you like to speak before the speakers from the cities, or would you like to speak after?
Let me say a couple words if I can.
Okay.
Before I'm very interested in hearing what the cities have to say. Once again, I find myself in agreement with most everything you said with regard to how horribly the process worked in this case and the imminent peril that we find for our 4 cities as a result. At the very minimum, they're not providing the services they were assured they could provide under existing state law at the time that they incorporated. And there is, without a doubt, a lot of confusion and misunderstanding at the level of CSAC. Even the governor's veto message didn't have it right, of what the potential impact would have been had that piece of legislation passed. Yes, there is the potential, the way it was written, that if additional cities incorporated, a very small slice of the total BLF might actually have been diverted to them. But there was more than enough money in the fund that was identified to cover that cost for a number of additional incorporations and or annexations, and still not have hit the general fund. And everybody in the room, and I told them this, and there was no one in the room who could disagree with it, because of the state of the condition of cities today and the state budget and the job they're required to do, I challenged any one of my colleagues at the board meeting where we were discussing this, any one of my boards of supervisor members representing probably 40 counties at the table or on the phone, to name one city that was considering incorporating anywhere in the state of California. There was none. East LA was the last discussion, and there's nobody involved in those discussions that believes that's anywhere near possible under an existing fiscal system. So the challenges were remote, extremely small, but there was this little possibility that some money might be diverted from counties who felt like they need the protections of whatever funds are available to take on the responsibilities, as we discussed on the previous item. And so the vote did not go our way. I did get some strong support. A number of, probably 20 members who asked to bring the item back up at that point. It was a procedural vote that needed to be taken just to get to the point of having a revote on the overall issue. And I had at least 20 votes, I think, in the room to do that, but he needed 3/4 at that point to agendize it. So it died, and the existing policy of opposition was stated. I think it's a worthy discussion. I think it would be a good idea to accept the executive officer's offer to come down, ask him to address these issues in front of our board, express our frustration to him directly here. But I also believe that some of what the mayor in Wildemar says makes sense, that we're going to need them in the future. We're going to need to work with them. Better to stay close to your enemies. I don't want to call them an enemy, but we need to be close to CSAC. And as a designee of this board to that organization, I will strive to do that. But I don't think it hurts a thing to accept his offer to put this over, have a serious discussion, bring him down, and let him hear it directly from us. And I would make. You want to make that motion, or I will. And then, okay, let's listen to the cities. But that's kind of where I'm coming from. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call on the 2 speakers, and then I'd like to make some comments on the CSAC issue. But first, our speaker is Mayor Laura Rutland with the City of Herb Valley. She has 6 minutes, followed by Mayor Jeff DeGrand Prix with the city of Eastvale. Laura. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, supervisors, and I thank you, Supervisor Stone, for putting this on the agenda. I think this is a very healthy discussion that needed to be held, and I just so appreciate it, and to Ms. Ludwig for yielding her time for me this morning. When I heard about this issue on the agenda, I was compelled to speak today, and I probably will repeat some of your sentiments. They're very close to mine. I am frustrated and dismayed by the influence that CSAC's veto request letter of September 10th, 2012 had on the governor's decision to veto AB 1098. This veto had a devastating effect on Hoopa Valley, Menifee, Wildomar, and Eastvale, and Riverside County as a whole. If nothing changes, Hoopa Valley will go into the red and never come out beginning late next summer. The longer we go without the restoration of our MVLF revenues that were taken by SB 89 in June of 2011, just 2 days before we incorporated, the further in the hole we go. Between last fiscal year, which was our first year as a city, and this current year, we are $14 million behind where we should be. I want to be clear, this was not feel-good new city birthday present money. This revenue, the MVLF, was legislated for cities formed after 2004, and it leveled the playing field for all California cities, because the new, quote-unquote, new cities after '04 do not receive the same property tax allocations as every other city in California. So not only was the 5-year bump part of the formula, there's an ongoing per capita revenue that goes on into perpetuity that replaces those property taxes. And I think that sometimes gets lost in the message. So some people feel like they're patting us on the head because we're new and we get this money, but it's beyond that. CSAC's veto request letter of September 10th states, we are concerned that over time, AB 1098 would erode VLF revenue dedicated to counties as part of the 2011 realignment. As stated, AB 1098 would have utilized revenue from the overfunded administrative portion of the MVLF account and not from the portion dedicated to realignment. It goes on to say that AB 1098 would alter this agreement, which referring to realignment, by allocating a share of VLF to cities that incorporated or annexed land since 2005 on an ongoing basis, including those that do so at any point in the future. First of all, it would be reallocating because those monies were previously promised to us through AB 1602 and SB 301, which were passed in 2006 and 2008 respectively, and that were taken again by SB 89 in June of 2011. These revenues brought post-2004 cities onto a level funding playing field with all other California cities. VLF in place of property tax revenues, and it would not have altered any agreement for realignment since the revenues promised from AB 1098 were coming from the admin account. This letter also mentions including those in the future, as if somehow this is a bad thing. Do we want to take away the ability to form more new cities in the state of California? I think there may be areas of the state who disagree strongly with that. CSAC's letter had a huge influence on the governor's veto of AB 1098, a bill that unanimously passed the Senate, which was a miracle in itself, and passed by more than 2/3 in the Assembly, another miracle. I'm here to point out the effect that their influence had on our 4 Riverside County cities and our county as a whole. All of that said, my philosophy that I try to live by is to build a bridge and not a wall. And I think that we need to retrofit our bridge between ourselves and CSAC and then up to Sacramento to work together to get a solution that works for everyone. Because I am up here today, and I should, I guess, state that I'm up here as an individual, although I am the mayor of the city of Hoopa Valley. I'm not representing the council per se today. I've been very involved in this process. I've been to Sacramento 6 times and trying to get this funding reinstated. It has been my life for the last year, and it continues to be until we reach success. So I just feel like, as much as I'd like to say, let's pull out of the group, you know, that's my initial anger reaction, I don't think that's probably practical. They obviously carry a lot of influence in Sacramento, so let's use that to our advantage and work with them. And I'm happy to be part of that solution. I'm available at any time, any place to meet, and I would be happy to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Rowan. Jeff DeGrampy, Mayor of the City of Eastvale.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Part of going last, or at least next to last, is y'all took the wind out of my sails. I agree with everything that has been said here and also by Mayor Rodden. We were really devastated. This is, as she said, money that was promised to us. That is our money. We're not asking for a gift or anything. CSAC represents the counties, and I would imagine your best interests. Is it in your best interest to have 4 more cities disincorporate and come back and have you have the responsibility and the economic responsibility of taking us back over? I don't understand what they were thinking. I don't get it. I agree with Supervisor Stone. I really don't get it. And I'm not here to tell you to renew your membership or to cancel your membership. That is up to you. That depends on what you think your return on investment of that $100,000 is. But I think at the very least, the cities and the county are owed an explanation from CSAC. I received their letter. I'm sure you received their letter. I took it as a bit condescending, actually. But I think we need more of an explanation than that form letter was. So I, along with Mayor Robin, will give whatever time you need. You got me 24/7 if needed to get this thing straightened out. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, well, I'm going to give my thoughts on this. First and foremost, the 2 cities, the 2 newest cities, Jurupa and Eastvale, sitting on LAFCO as I did, and also representing both those unincorporated areas before they became cities, working very closely with them to help them become cities, and then dealing with the deliberations of this board when both cities finally came before this board. I remember vividly making the comments we needed to do what we could to help these areas become cities, because realignment was the shift of responsibilities by the state down to the counties was in the making. We were going to be shifted more local control for public safety services and health and human services. And along with those shifts, we were going to have less revenue or less opportunity to serve these unincorporated areas in the municipal services. And that's why it made sense for us to support those 2 new cities at the time. Those 2, the other 2, Menifee and Waldemar, preceded them a couple of years or 3 years earlier. And we did that. We supported that unanimously. One thing I've learned about CSAC over the years is that there are 58 county members. Most of those counties are rural counties. I just had our CSAC Executive Committee meeting, a retreat last week, and sat with the smallest county member, Alpine County, 1,250 people. 1,250 people in their county. And our largest county, of course, Los Angeles, with 10 million. We have 12 urban counties, meaning 1 million or above in population. Yet 70% of the population in California, so there's 58 counties, most of them are rural, followed by suburban, and then 12 urban counties. 70% of the population falls in the 6 Southern California urban counties. And when you try to get to an agreement on very complicated issues or controversial issues at CSAC, I go back to Prop 1A, I'm sure Supervisor Bernard was there under Prop 30 this last time. They oftentimes do not see the challenge is that many of us in large counties, yes, we all do the same thing, but some of us just do it on a much, much larger scope. And many of our counties don't even have county hospitals. Most of them don't, actually. Only 5 of us do. So it's not an easy task to rein in, if you will, or corral 58 members to your common goal as a large county. In fact, when Supervisor Benoit, and he did, I was not there, but I heard that he did a tremendous job when this debate occurred at the last CSAC board meeting. He did his absolute best to try to convince the members to support or not even send a veto message, or excuse me, a veto request to the governor. He couldn't even get the 12 urban counties, and we do have an urban county caucus. They would not support our effort. And now why is that? Cities, you don't find many areas in the state of California, even among the 6 large Southern California counties, that are looking to urbanize, or excuse me, that are looking to incorporate. Riverside, because we were the most active, and because 4 of those areas have been working for literally a decade to try to incorporate. They went through the process, but it's very, very uncommon for areas to incorporate. So when that, and again, I was not up there, but I could only envision that and hear in my mind what debate occurred. They didn't get it. They didn't get it at CSAC. And it's not that they don't have sharp people. Believe me, they have sharp, sharp, sharp lobbyists within the CSAC organization. But yet, it is a very difficult balance for them to try to rein in all their members towards one common view or one common goal. And they were unable to do that. I think it would be, yes, I was very angered by their position. I spent many hours on the phone with the officers of CSAC, and at one point in time they were supporting our effort, and then only to find out that, and I will just say this, that the executive director changed that position, which was very upsetting to me. That executive director is no longer there. However, it is critical that CSAC be a part of this process. CSAC does have the ear of the governor. He does have, or they do have the ear of all his top agency directors, including Department of Finance, and it is through CSAC and the governor's office that we will get this fixed. It's not going to be an easy fix, but you will get it fixed. And I don't want to say this, but I don't want to say anything against the league, but the league is not taking an active role in this, as you know. And one of the reasons is because the league does not have a good relationship with the administration in Sacramento. And so it is critical that we keep our commitment to CSAC, that we take a much stronger role with CSAC, that we do so in collaboration with the 4 cities, the 4 new cities, because I will tell you that they do understand that they have a tough balance ahead of them as well. Lastly, there will be a new executive director coming on board within the next month or so. And that individual will, I know, be taking a much more aggressive and proactive role with the counties to ensure that, as much as possible, all areas and all the diversities of the counties are properly addressed. So with that, Supervisor Stone, I understand your frustration. We all lost sleep over this over the last few months, but we'll get through this, and I just encourage my colleagues to deny this request, and that we just continue to even go further ahead with our cooperation with CSAC and involvement. Supervisor Stone.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate everybody's comments. And I think it's important that we honor the commitment of CSAC and continue this, and let the interim executive director hear firsthand the potential devastation that CSAC caused. And I'd like to hear from the executive director what he sees as a legislative solution that CSAC is going to hopefully get behind to help restore the funding to the 4 struggling cities. So I'll make the motion that we continue this discussion until a date certain. Keisha, you'll need to find out from Mr. Keel when he's available to come down, and we'll just continue to that date and continue that discussion and give them the opportunity to maybe let us know what plan CSAC has to help us solve this problem.
I would like to add to that motion. We do have a motion in a second that the end of November, I believe it is, CSAC, their annual conference will be in Long Beach. I would strongly recommend that the Supervisor Benoit, along with other board members, including our executive office and representatives of the cities, try to find a time with Mr. Steve Kyle, our interim director. I think he will stay on as a result of until the new executive director takes place, but with the top staff of management, including the officers, and have that dialogue and forge that relationship, because I do feel very confident that they do want to help. It's going to take that ongoing relationship though to make that happen, so I strongly encourage that. Good. A motion and a second, please vote. Motion is unanimous. All right, now, where are we? We are on, thank you, mayors, for being here. We're on item 3.54, Supervisor Ashley.
I'm going to defer to Supervisor Stone and have him speak first.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Supervisor Ashley co-signing this F11 with me. As we all know, we're very excited that we are going to have our first medical school in Riverside County, and I want to thank the board, especially Supervisor Buster, that really has been a strong champion of this medical school, and providing a strong financial commitment that is going to enable this medical school to come to fruition. And if you talk to lay public about county hospitals, most people will tell you that's probably not the first place that they want to go, even though I believe we have a wonderful county hospital that does a wonderful job. It's a teaching institution, and there needs to be an affiliation with the UCR Medical School. And I believe that incorporating the name UCR in the name of our hospital is going to give our hospital further clout, that it is just not a place for the people that have fallen on difficult times to go for medical care. It's a teaching institution that has the most up-to-date treatments, services that you can find in any hospital across the United States. I think it also, we all know that the medical school is going to bring a lot of investment to support that medical school. And I believe incorporating the name in our hospital will even instill more development related to the medical industries in and around our present hospital. So this is just putting the gears in motion, if you will, to consider a name change. The regents for UC would have to approve whatever name we propose for the hospital, but I'm optimistic that UC Riverside will find value in partnering with our hospital, being that in all likelihood it's going to be their interns and residents that are going to be coming to the closest county hospital to the medical school to further their training. And so I think this would be a big boom for Riverside County, and really showing off the fact that we have a wonderful medical teaching institution, our medical school, UCR, and it's affiliated with its good partner, the County of Riverside, that has put our money where our mouth is, and we want a medical school here. We need to train more physicians that are not only going to train here, but are going to live here, because we have a very poor physician to population ratio in our county. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't have a medical school in our county, in the 4th largest county in the state of California. So I would like the board to please consider letting staff work on these name changes and come back to us with maybe the regents' input as to whether or not it's a likely possibility, and so what name would they join us with. The first medical school class is going in August of 2013. This is not something that has to be done overnight. It's something that can happen over time. And I look forward to working with the university and our staff and incorporating the name of UCR in our medical center's name and image.
Is that a motion, Supervisor?
Or defer to Supervisor Ashley. Okay, so I'll move the staff's, my recommendations, Supervisor Ashley's recommendations. This is going to go to staff. There are some proposed names the staff will examine and share with the appropriate representatives at the UC, get it on the Regents' agenda, and then hopefully come back to us with some unanimous consent for a recommended name change.
So we have a motion for Supervisor Stone and a second for Supervisor Ashley. Further discussion, Supervisor Ashley?
Of course, I agree with everything Supervisor Stone said. And I think this is very important. You know, the county hospitals in my district, I have a very strong interest in it. And also, I want to compliment Supervisor Buster, who is our healthcare expert on the board. He's the one that has the most depth of knowledge in these issues, and has been a champion in many ways. And I want to compliment him for the efforts all overall, not just the UCR Medical School. And Supervisor Tavaglione, who's also instrumental in making that happen. So this is good. This is like a partnership. We have a partnership going now between the county and the UCR. Our medical school there it is. There's the hospital. They have a hospital. They don't have to build one. There it is. There's the University Medical School. We don't have to build it. There it is. We've got this tremendous partnership, and I think we ought to get and make the public aware and cement this, get it going as fast as possible. But you just have to, it all has a lot that depends on what the UCR Medical School feels about it too. So we're going to have to let them wrestle with the idea of this and then work this out over the next few weeks or months.
Okay, Mr. Orr.
Thank you for the Form 11. I thought Doug Bagley would be running down here to the podium, but since he's not, I'll make some comments. Doug's had a vision for this for quite a while. He's been working on this for a few years, is that right? And Doug and I have been meeting with the dean to facilitate this already. We have a subcommittee at your health governance board to work on this, our integration of our medical center, our health delivery system, with the UCR medical school, now that we have that medical school. And there's some very bold plans to achieve what the supervisors are putting in this Form 11. So I think you're going to see that name change down the road. I think you'll see that alliance that you want. There's a bold vision that the staff is working on, and we'd like to bring that to you. So thank you for the opportunity to work on this.
I just think one other comment. I think it's important that we brand this now or as soon as possible.
Supervisor Benoit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say I couldn't agree more with everything you've said here. And I see the 5 choices in our agenda item. They're all great. Any one of them that ties this county with UCR Medical School would be appropriate. Well, I thought I'd have to give it which is the best of those, but it's irrelevant. It's a great partnership. I wanted to thank the folks at the UCR Associates, I think is the name of the group, that we 3 of us were at a reception here a week or so. I'm sorry? Well, the associates that honored the Board of Supervisors, I think it's called the Associates of UCR, that is an organization that's been there 50, 60 years since the very beginning of the program, and 3 of us were able to make it the other night when their agenda was to thank the Board of Supervisors. We have developed a great relationship there. I think it's critically important representing the piece of the county that has, in some cases, 8,000 residents per doctor. We could not have a more important role to fill than to try and help them along, and they clearly appreciate and, in fact, credited us with making it possible that this went forward. And Supervisor Buster carried the charge from the very beginning on that, too, so thank you. But I just wanted to say absolutely appreciate and appropriate and support the resolution.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. Three of us attended. It was the Citizens Community Union. I can't remember the exact title. That was very nice, but they also had a celebration last week. I think it was Thursday evening. And you know, while this board stepped up and together took the effort, or put forward the effort to help fund and get them to that next level so that they could obtain their accreditation. We seem to take all the credit, and it's wonderful that as a group, a body, we did that. But on the sidelines, you had Doug Bagley, Ellie, J.O.R., everyone within our organization that really took the ball and went with it and worked with Dean Oles, Chancellor White, and now we have what we have, and I just want to thank the entire team, because this is a huge, huge deal for the County of Riverside and the future of Riverside and University of California, Riverside, so congratulations. I think the motion was to bring this back at a later date. I was out for a moment, was that correct? At what point? Did we?
Right, well, we have to explore this with the branding, with the University of California, so the medical school which we do now have a medical school in formation. Thank you to the actions that have been taken and the approvals have been given. They got accreditation, whatever, in recent times. So now's the time to start working on this branding and cooperation with the University of California.
So the motion would be then to take it off calendar and return at an appropriate time as determined by the executive office?
Yes.
Okay. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion is unanimous. Okay, taking us to item 3.55, Supervisor Buster.
Just my thanks to Transportation Land Management Agency and working with the developer who's reviving this project and putting out in front, expediting this important connection from the El Sobrani area off to the north, connecting with Van Buren Boulevard. So it's going to be prioritized, and I know, Juan, you and your staff have worked a lot to get the cost down in the new road alignment, and I know you've been working with a city that has over half the right-of-way. Do things still look like there's a green light ahead of us to get going on this project?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Juan Perez. Supervisor, we are on the stage of doing appraisals for the right-of-way acquisition, and we are confident that given the upfront funding, once it materializes based on the terms of the agreement with the developer, that we'll be in a good position to be able to work with the city, identify the rest of the funding, and move this project forward. I want to also thank Pam Walls and County Council for their expedited review. I do, for the record, the item before you is to the agreement in concept, and authorize Ms. Walls and myself to execute the final agreements that I think will help make A Street a reality much sooner than if we're not working out this arrangement and we're just waiting for the economy to take its course. I do, just as a minor clarification, I want to state for the record that the fast track status will apply to the residential project under the specific plan, and also the adjacent property that is also being developed. And really an unusual arrangement, but I think a very positive one to move forward quickly and receive some funding much sooner than we otherwise would.
Good. Now move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second on 3.55. Please vote. Motion is unanimous. Taking item 3.56, Supervisor Ashley.
Thank you. This is the Interstate 10 Lifeline Emergency Action Plan. This is a big deal. The Supervisor Benoit and I are going to explain, if it's not already evident to you. We've had some horrific situations out in the I-10 the last few years, and they cover this 100,000 cars a day, go by there. This is just a terrific stuff. It's really the lifeline for saying that all roads go to Beaumont, so does the railroad, so do the roads, so do the gas lines, utility, everything, water, everything goes through the pass. And unfortunately, if you're going through the pass and there's an accident ahead of you, you're stuck there, sometimes for hours on end. So we need an alternate routes, even though it won't be just like, rapid fire. You'll continue to move the same speed, you will move and get around it. And so what this is going to do in cooperation with all our partners out there, which would be the City of Banning, City of Palm Springs is involved, the Morongo Band of Mission Indians, California Highway Patrol, Caltrans, Riverside, of course, Riverside County and our transportation department. We're all involved. Everybody's involved in this. And you say, well, what's this going to do? This started with, it's going to build a new 2-lane road from Banning on the south side, from Hathaway down to Apache Trail. So boom, right off the bat, you'll have a way to get around that blockage. From there on, there's an existing frontage road that goes all the way to 111 on the south side. You get over the north side, we're blocked. We're okay. We moved from Apache Trail, down to Seminole Main Street interchange, and then you're stuck. You have to go back on the other side. So we're working with the Morongo Band of Mission Indians to take the frontage road from Seminole over to Westmore, and that's the east end of the reservation. That's right near, not just coincidentally, near our the county future jail site. Also, that road is Tamarack. It's a frontage road that goes down to Hagen Lehman, the old Verbania road, and now from there, there's some real good opportunities that Juan Perez and the Transportation Department came up with. And before I go any further, Juan, would you, Patty, come on up and take it from there? What we're doing, and we're talking about the time period. What are we going to be able to do first? Where we are right now.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Juan Perez, and I will be introducing Patty Romo, our Deputy Director, who's done a lot of the heavy lifting on this. And I also want to introduce and call up a few of our key partners that are here today, and I sincerely appreciate them being here. First of all, with Caltrans, honored to have our District Director, Bassem Mualim, here today. Bassem, and I believe Syed Raza is Deputy Director, who's also been very involved this year as well. With representing the Morongo tribe, Mr. Eric Haley is here. I would like to make a couple of comments. Want to really acknowledge the partnership of the California Highway Patrol, and I believe Captain Greg Peck is here as well. Thank you, Captain. And Mayor RCTC was going to try to come down. I'm not sure if she's been able to make it. And I also want to acknowledge another key partner going forward in implementing this, Peter Lent, in our Office of Emergency Services. So what we have, if the board would like, I can have Patty to take a couple minutes just to put a few maps on the board to highlight this plan. It is a comprehensive plan. Some things are being worked on now and will be implemented in the near term. Some are going to take a little bit longer, but our goal is to really provide this alternate connection to I-10 and through the pass area, which really is the lifeline for the Southern California economy, as well as do some immediate improvements to manage traffic through changeable message signs, removable barriers, what have you.
Good morning, Chairman, Board. I wanted to go over some of the highlights of the emergency action plan. We've been, the county has been coordinating with CHP, Morongo, Band of Mission Indians, City of Banning, City of Palm Springs, CBAG, RCTC, Caltrans, of course, big player. And the reason we all got together is we were all individually working on improvements, but we thought if we all got together, we could help each other to make sure that when that next incident happens on I-10, we all have a plan. A couple things we're doing, we've established an MOU that goes through and identifies each agency's responsibilities and roles. The other thing we've done is develop this map, you see. And I'll go through it. It's a little bit difficult to see, so I've cut it in half. This is the westerly end, and here you can see frontage roads that are being proposed, the I-10 bypass that county transportation is currently working on, and that takes you from Hathaway over to the Apache Trail interchange. That project, we started our environmental studies back in February, so we're progressing on that project. That project has some stimulus dollars on it. It's got some TUMF dollars on it. And then you'll see the Seminole extension over on the right side. That's north of I-10, and that connects, that's a connection where Seminole currently ends, and it connects it over to Tamarack. Some of the other features you see here, gates in the median of Interstate 10. Caltrans has created some gaps already in the median, breaks in the barrier, but they currently have a project to put gates so that you don't need heavy equipment to move these concrete barriers, but you'll be able to get a key and open the gate and provide access through there. Continuing easterly, these are some of the other extensions that we're looking at. Tamarack extension that continues from about Hagen-Lehman Way, where Tamarack currently ends, and it takes you over to the Whitewater interchange. And then on the southerly side, the Garnet extension that takes you from Whitewater interchange over to where Garnet ends. And that will take you, it's hard to see here, but Garnet does extend all the way to the Indian Canyon Drive interchange. So the Garnet extension will be the connection from Whitewater to where Garnet ends, and then it'll continue all the way. The other thing that's part of the plan, Caltrans has been working on a project to install changeable message signs, the large signs that you see out there. There are a few that are being proposed, and what the county is doing in the interim is you're going to see before the end of the year a couple of portable changeable message signs at Indian Canyon Drive, and then also on 62 Southerly before you get to Dillon. And so those will be in the interim until the permanent large changeable message signs go in. And then over on the easterly end of the county, over by Blythe, there are proposed changeable message signs over in that area too that Caltrans is currently working on, and those should be in at the end of the year. And these are the photo you see at the top is what those changeable message signs look like. So these are some of the investments that we're going to be making on Interstate 10 to improve efficiency on getting traffic through when the interchange is closed. But in addition to that, part of the partnership is combining our efforts. So if there is a closure, both the county and the cities will be combining our resources. So staff and equipment that we have will be available. And in addition to that, identifying sites. So we have to have staging areas for the Red Cross for water and food if there's backups. And like Supervisor Ashley mentioned, even though you've got these other areas where we'll be able to get traffic around I-10, going through on a 2-lane road does take time. So we're looking at the provisions of providing water and food, medical supplies, and where those staging areas might be. So we're all partnering together. We're going to be meeting regularly and updating this plan and making sure that staff knows about it. The action plan that we'll be using internally, it's going to be 1 page, this map, and it's going to have phone numbers, 24-hour phone numbers for all representatives so that we can contact each other immediately without delay.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, County Supervisors. My name is Bassem Alem. I'm the new director for District 8. I won't go into much detail about what happened. As you recall, back in February 12th, a day that we're not really too happy about. We had a bad breach in communication, and you know all the details of that incident. Since then, Caltrans has moved forward, and we're looking at a plan and working with the County of Riverside, CHP, RCTC, and CVAG, a Morongo Band of Indians, and other agencies, City of Banning, City of Palm Springs, and so that we develop a plan so that we can have continuity of access through that area. This is about an area about a 19 to 20 mile stretch where about 100,000 vehicles a day commute in that area. And so it's imperative that we move forward and put a plan working with our partners, and that we can implement this plan. Currently we have 2 CMSs, changeable message signs, that will be installed on I-10 and by the end of this year, and then 3 more that will be deployed next year along I-10 as well as on I-62 and 111. Caltrans is also moving forward with implementing the plan to install vehicle detection systems and CCTVs, closed caption television, so that we can monitor best the area in case of an incident. And we have already reached 2 areas in the median where we can have the median being opened up so that we can allow vehicles to do a counterflow in case of an incident. In next year we'll also do 3 more, and so that ultimately we'll have 5 steel gates in the median that we can just open up and allow vehicles to do a counterflow in case of a major incident. I think Caltrans is committed to working with the partners to pool the resources, equipment, and personnel and facilities in case of a major incident. And so we're hoping that this is about a $40 million plus dollar endeavor that we're hoping that we will be able to deploy. It will take between 18 months to about 6 years to get this thing completely finalized. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, Eric Cayley, today representing the Morongo Band of Mission Indians, and kind of unaccustomed to this place in the room, but happy to be here today. Representing Chairman Robert Martin of the Morongo Band of Mission Indians, as well as the Tribal Council. I've just got a few points to make. One, several of you, sometimes wearing slightly different hats, John, but several of you were represented in a room a couple floors above here about 6.5 years ago, when the first major meltdown of I-10 took place and kept people on the road for 14 hours. And then, just as fate would have it, we were reminded in 3 consecutive meltdowns, the most recent that went all the way back to Palm Springs, that essentially there was no road system effectively alternative to I-10. And Supervisor Ashley really bit into this issue and moved it forward. John and your staff have jumped in. We have probably the biggest coalition I've seen in my career in the pass area going all the way out to the Coachella Valley.